I'm trying to combine BJJ and strength training. All right, this is a Nick question, all right, since I don't know anything about it. Typical week is BJJ 2 times on Monday and either Friday or Saturday, depending on the schedule for that week, with 3 lifting days consistently, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I know that this limits my recovery, so I've been working to get very consistent with sleep and diet, which seems to be working thus far. I've made decent progress using HLM programming, heavy, light, medium programming from the Gray Book, even though my weights are likely still in the novice linear progression state since recovering. Every workout is rough with the extra stress from the BJJ. Now, here's the problem. He's 43.
So
and he's 5'9", 205.
I'm not 5'9" or 205.
He's 43. He's 5'9", 205. Best lifts are 290 bench for triple, 375 squat, triple, 425 deadlift for a set of 5, 165 press for 5. Is this a decent trade-off between the two by using heavy, light, medium, or do you have better ideas like advanced novice linear progression programming or something like that? Do you eventually reach a point where in order to continue to get stronger, you have to be willing to focus only on strength training to allow enough stress and recovery to avoid plateauing? All right.
Man, I think a 43-year-old guy for any sport, it doesn't have to be BJJ, but any sport, a guy who's 43, lifting 3 days a week, doing a sport twice a week, he's in
right
good shape.
at the edge.
He's doing fine.
You're if you can do that, you're doing fine.
Yeah.
But to add anything to that is going to be real tough. All right, now.
He's already doing it though, right?
Let me make a point here that keeps coming up. The numbers that you lift, your numbers that you're lifting on squat, press, deadlift, bench press, are not indicative of your level of training advancement.
Right.
They are not the same thing. This is what the problem with strength standards is, because people confuse the level of training advancement for a certain number on the barbell, and that is not the case. I have had people of exceptional genetic capacity go up into the mid 500s on novice linear progression on the squat for sets of 5. Now, that's unusual, but it happens. So it's not the number on the bar that indicates your level of training advancement. Get that idea out of your head. Level of training advancement is determined by your ability to recover between the last workout and the next one. And if you are under sufficient stress to where it takes you more than 48, 72 hours to recover from the previous workout, then you are no longer a novice. And it doesn't matter what number is on the bar when that occurs. That doesn't make any difference. It's what it boils down to is it's your percentage of development of your own genetic potential.
And that's going to be affected heavily by doing something other than just lifting, right?
And if you add in any other stress, then you complicate the recovery therefrom.
But here's the thing:
right?
he never in that he never said anything about he's stalling, his lifts aren't moving.
Exactly.
He never said anything like that. So just
great.
keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Make sure you prioritize diet and sleep, and just keep doing what you're doing. You're fine.
Whatever you're doing seems to be working
and he said his workouts are hard. Good. They're
always going to be.
They need to be hard.
If they're effective, they're going to be hard.
That was my Jocko impersonation.
Your rating of perceived exertion can walk down the road with a carrot in its ass. It doesn't matter what your perception is. What matters is, did you do the 5th rep of the 3rd set? That's the only data that you're interested in. And as long as you can keep doing that while you're adding weight, every time you train, you're a novice. It doesn't matter what weight's on the bar. Now, the fact that you're also doing a strenuous second job is going to tap into the first job's recovery. All right? But we're not here to tell you what to do. If you want to train for strength and that's all, then you're going to have a better time getting stronger. If you want to do strength training and you want to run marathons at the same time, well, it's your life. You know, the two are incompatible, completely incompatible. But that's for you to determine, not us. If whatever you value is what you must do. If you want to do BJJ and train for strength, then that's what you have to do, and you just have to accept the fact that trying to do both and trying to advance while you're doing both comes with a set of limitations that you've got to be willing to either mitigate very, very hard or live with. And that's just all there is to it.
Yeah, and based on where he's at, I mean, there's very little trade-off to what he's doing because he's probably one of the strongest guys in his BJJ gym with those numbers and at that age. As some practical advice, I think that if you're looking ahead in terms of maybe future problems, don't complicate things. All you're going to do is make your heavy day. So let's just say your heavy day's last workout of the week. 1 week's going to be 1 week's going to be a squat priority, and 1 week's going to be a deadlift priority. So rather than hitting a PR every week on a squat and a deadlift, just hit a PR once every 2 weeks on a squat and once every 2 weeks on a deadlift. There you go, man. That's sustainable for
There are ways
a long
to
time.
manage this.
Yep.
You can manage it like that with careful programming for a very, very long time.
Yep. You can get stronger doing both. It's just you're going to get stronger a lot slower.
And you're going to get better at both a lot slower than if you were only focused on one of them.
Yep.
Although I would say that if you're doing BJJ without strength training, you're going to have a hard time getting better at BJJ too, because strength applies to everything. Mm-hmm. Your first emphasis should be strength.
I think if you're over 35, you're doing jiu-jitsu, you have to lift. There's no way around it. You've got, so at least 2 days, 3 days ideally you're lifting. And then maybe 2-3 days a week on the mats.
Right.
But it's required after you're
It's a
35.
force production sport.
Of course.
It's a force production sport, and if you're not strong enough, you're not producing enough force.
And just to keep your joints healthy. Mm-hmm. Your knees especially.
Right.
Your knees take a beating. Elbows take a beating. For a guy who's not 20, there's only one way to do that, and that's through barbell training.
Right. Precisely. So keep all that in mind. Read the gray book. It's all in the gray book. Everything you need to know is in the gray book. People ignore the gray book at their peril. There are principles in the gray book that apply across all sports and all human activities if you'll just tease them out. Next Friday on Starting Strength Radio, we are going to subject you to your own questions and our answers to your questions. It's going to be a paper Q&A where you write us questions. We print them out on pieces of paper, and we read them to you, and then we talk about them. And a good time is had by all, along with comments about the recent election that never seems to stray far from our attention. Join us Friday, Starting Strength Radio.